NetCafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, lawyering with integrity for internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. Hi, and welcome to the Net Cafe. We're here as usual at the Club I in San Francisco, and we're talking about online shopping, e-commerce. Certainly don't have to tell you you can buy just about anything you want online these days, but what we do want to tell you is there are lots of e-commerce add-ons available now that make online shopping a lot better. For example, a great application of the net is as a global clearinghouse for people buying gifts. Well, Jane is talking to two women who dropped out of Stanford, actually, to form DellaJames.com, an online wedding gift registry.
One of the most frustrating things for me as a bride was the whole bridal registry process. Now, you guys have started a company. It's called Della & James. Explain to me how you're going to make the bride and groom and the guest experience so much better.
Well, starting with the bride and groom, I think we had insight into this as being frustrated users of that market ourselves. When we started the company, Jenny had just been a bride. I'd been the many times bridesmaid, and we knew that what the brides and grooms were ultimately looking for didn't exist. They wanted to be able to register for all the types of things they wanted, for a wide variety of things, everything from China to weekend getaways and camping gear, from all the stores they knew and loved, like Crate & Barrel, Williams-Sonoma, and REI, and they wanted it to be easy. They wanted to be able to manage it in one place, have online access to their choices, as well as be able to go in store and actually touch and feel the merchandise. And most of all, I think they wanted it to be easy for their guests.
Right. So what's Della & James doing?
So for the guests, what we do is, because we pulled together the gift registries of Crate & Barrel, Williams-Sonoma, Dillard's, REI, Gumps, and more.
All in one website.
All in one website. The gift buyer gets to go onto the site, search for a name, find the couple, click on it, and then they get to see everything that couple wants, and then find the perfect gift and check out on the site.
Okay, so the deal here is that I go to your site and I actually, as the guest, I can order the product online. I never have to walk into a store. It's all gift wrapped. It gets sent to the bride and groom.
Yes.
No problem.
And not only do you never have to walk into the store, but it's better than walking into the store because you get to see everything they want. So not only the China pattern or the everyday wear, but maybe they want a sleeping bag or walkie-talkies from REI.
So it's like walking into 5 stores at once, or more, as many as the couple is registered with.
Okay, so Jessica, you're a recent bride.
I am. 1 month anniversary to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Walk me through the experience as a bride. What are the things that you're going to help me with? I mean, so for example, I'm not so great with the the unspoken rules about bridal registry and so on and so forth. Are there things that you can do to help me out?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the first things that we wanted to do was, it's this great opportunity where you get all these wonderful things for your home and beyond, but you want to sort of use it wisely, and we wanted to know what on earth should we get, and how many place settings do you need, and what's an appropriate amount to register for, given the number of guests you're having. So we have extensive advice for the bride and groom on what to register for. We have wizards that will help you figure it out, walk you through what we have on our site. It's called a product guide, which tells you the difference between All-Clad and Calphalon and how many thread count sheets you need. And it's a very fun, stylish guide to what you need to build your registry in your home together, as well as the other advice. So that you kind of can learn from there. But I think another important part is that brides and grooms can also start as they do today, by just going into their favorite store and picking out things they know and love. And with no extra effort, their registry automatically appears at DellaJames.com.
Okay, one more question about the process for the bride and groom. One of my biggest mistakes was it took me forever to get my thank you cards out. Have you guys got anything to help that problem?
We have a thank you note reminder. It tracks who bought you what and when. We'll remind you of your thank you note. So all in one place, you can see everything.
Oh, that's great.
I think why this is so amazing is that it just automatically comes from the stores when people purchase it for you, whether they purchase it in-store or online.
So they keep track of it all for you. Now, there's an interesting story behind the name of your company, Della & James. Tell me a little bit about that, Jenny.
Della and James are the two characters in O. Henry story, The Gift of the Magi. I don't know if you remember the story.
I love the story, yeah.
So she ends up cutting off her hair and selling it to buy him a chain for his watch. He ends up selling his watch to buy her combs for her hair. Ends with O. Henry saying, of all gift givers, these two were the wisest. And it really embodied what we were doing here with Della and James.
And now the other interesting story is the two of you, how you got together and how you came about to build the company. Tell me a little bit about that.
We met at Stanford Business School about a month into our first year in '97. We started running into each other at all the same entrepreneurial meetings and quickly started working on the plan for the world's best and biggest bridal registry
So was
online.
it automatic? You just knew this is what I want to do,
It
bridal
was pretty
registry?
quick. We both had thought of it before we met.
And
Yeah.
we both wanted to do something in the online space. It was our backgrounds. So we started working on this, and by May we were funded by Kleiner Perkins, and that was just a month shy of finishing our first year. So we took the abbreviated program at Business School, which was we left
dropped
after.
out.
Exactly. Politically correct way of saying we dropped out after our first year.
Well, you can always go back later.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, it's a great story. It's a wonderful website. It's DellaJames.com.
DellaJames.com.
And wonderful place for brides and guests. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from the site in the future.
You
Thank you.
absolutely will. As
Thanks
we
so
move
much.
into the new season, this holiday season, you'll see how we can make gift giving better for all occasions.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
One of the great things about the internet, of course, is that it levels the playing field. And a perfect example of that is the sort of balance of power between kids and adults. And we all know in internet space, it's often the kids who are teaching the adults what to do. A great example of that is at Oak Grove High School in San Jose, something called the Eagle Web Project, in which high school students are actually designing e-commerce sites for local businesses. And here we have the advisor for the project, Dennis Barbata, also a computer science teacher at the school, and Akshay Patel, a senior at the Oak Grove, who's doing some of the work. Let me ask you, first of all, Dennis, is this a little business that's being run out of the high school, or is it just kind of an educational project?
No, actually, it's a public service that our students are providing, and it's also what we call a work-based learning activity for the students to give them a chance to get into the business world and use some of those employability skills that we're required to be teaching
So
them.
you don't charge these people to do this design work?
No, we don't charge them for the website that's created and the work that goes into it. We feel that at some point they might want to hire an intern later on to keep that website going.
Oh, okay, a little on-the-job training.
Right.
Now, does that interest you, Akshay? I mean, you do some work for a client, and then maybe you make some money afterward
Yeah,
working
it's
for them?
worked out quite well for me.
So you're actually doing that?
Yeah, I've gotten several jobs out of kind of doing some service on the side. The most recent one is at PRX Inc.
Uh-huh.
I did a website for their AEA 2001 club, which is kind of a charity, and they liked what I did, so they hired me. as
Wow.
their website.
Now, where did you learn how to do this? Did you study this actually in one of the classes at school, or do it on your own?
I did it on my own, but many of the other students have taken advantage of the resources we provide at school through books and also help from me or Mr. Barbata or other students that are experienced.
And what kind of software do you use to create the sites? What do you do? What do
We
you do?
received a generous donation from Adobe. They gave us 20 copies of Photoshop
Wow.
5 and also their new Adobe Go Live HTML authoring software, and also some other freeware.
And you actually arrange the hosting for the client, too?
We arranged it through Virtualis Inc., who was very generous in providing discounts to people who use our service.
Okay. Now, if I'm a potential client of yours, which sounds pretty good because you're going to do it for nothing, right? At least to start out. Give me an example of a website I ought to look at that would be, show me what kind of work you do.
There's several. There's www.eagleweb.org, which is
Okay.
our own site. We also did the AEA2001.com site.
And we're presently working on a site for the Steinway Society to promote the Steinway piano concerts around the Bay Area.
Wow. Now, are these clients generally happy with the work you do? I mean, do you do work equal to what they pay for if they were hiring some commercial web design house?
You know, right now they're contacting the San Jose Chamber of Commerce if they're interested in developing a partnership with Virtualis, and part of that fax-in form that they fill out is whether or not they want some of our students from Oak Grove High School to come out and help them.
Yeah. Now, Akshay, you mentioned to me that you've been really working hard at this. You're actually sort of burned out doing this kind of work. Is that true?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. So one thing about the Valley is you can get an internship pretty young with
Yeah.
friends and family. So it's been about 3 years of experience under my belt. So
And this is, of course, not just working 9 to 5, right?
sometimes during the summer it's 40 hours a week. Sometimes. Just
So you're going to head off to college next year. You're not going to study computer science?
It'll be there, but I think I might try some other things too.
Really?
Get a balance.
Interesting. Now, is this a model for what other schools might be able to do, Dennis, what you guys have done at Oak Grove?
Well, I hope so. We start our freshmen right now with a program called Electronic Portfolio. And what that student does, it's a practice session for them to make their own website where they have on their site all of their best works that they've done in all of their classes. So I can just click on their site and I can do an assessment of their portfolio. That's the great practice before they venture out and start doing a website for a small business.
Yeah. Is this fun for you? I mean, do you enjoy doing this stuff, or is it kind of homework?
No, I enjoy doing it. And after you spend a couple hours one night and it's done, when you look back on it, it's a lot to be proud of. But when you're doing it, it can be a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, what about the business side? I mean, do you actually have to go out there and do the schmoozing with the clients and shaking hands and trying to convince people to trust you?
Yeah, because since you're a kid, you're not necessarily taken seriously. And since we're doing it for free,
Right.
people don't expect as much. But
Yeah.
you have to go out there and show your stuff and schmooze. And
Were you helping them there, Dennis, sort of with the business skill part
Well,
of
we
it?
anticipated this as one of the weak parts of the whole project with students interacting with adults. So during the summer, we had a program called Camp Eagle Web, and volunteers from Hewlett-Packard, Anita Reed. We had Andre Lamont from ExtremeGames.com come down and talked about the business side and how to approach an adult and how to, get out of them what they want to see on their site.
Great idea. And if I'm a small business and I want an e-commerce site, I go to eagleweb.com?
Yeah,
.org, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can write a webmaster at
Great.
eagleweb.org.
Thanks a lot, guys. One of the problems with shopping online is it's often hard to find the exact shop that has what you're looking for or to find the best price. Sometimes that can involve hours of surfing the net. Well, there is an add-on service now that does that for you. The service is called an Infomediary, and Jane is talking with one man who founded an Infomediary called Alibris.
So Marty, tell me a little bit about Alibris to start with.
Alibris is a great place to find books that are real hard to find otherwise. We take book dealers from all over the world, and they can list books on our site. As a customer, you can shop those books in one place without having to travel the world for some of the finest books ever written.
So these are used books, they're rare books, they're out-of-print books.
Yes, these are all books that we think of as hard to find. Most books ever written are not easy to obtain today because their lives are short and they're getting shorter. Books are going out of print faster.
So people
now
are
than ever
the
before.
book publishers are turning books over a lot more quickly now.
Correct. They're deciding not to issue new print runs.
So let me ask a stupid question. Who are your customers? Who are buying these rare and used books?
Might be somebody who wants a book from their childhood, might be a scholar with a specialized research interest, might be a student who's or anybody else who's looking for an attractively priced used copy of a book. Large varieties of people, hobbyists especially.
So this is
find our
mostly
site.
sort of a business-to-consumer e-commerce environment that we're talking
It
about
is a
then.
great deal of that. We have a website, as you know. We also sell to libraries who need used books. Their building's full of used books, and they need to be able to find materials that are hard to find. We make it possible for them to buy from thousands of dealers. We sell to big e-commerce companies, and we sell to bookstores. You soon will be able to walk into your corner bookstore, ask for a book, and instead of being told, I'm sorry, that book is out of print, they will be able to order it for you right there, and it'll
So
come
they'll
to your
find
house.
it for you.
Yes.
Now, one of the things, I know you've got a fairly colorful background. You've not been in the internet industry for a great deal of time. What prompted you to get involved in this, especially in the internet e-commerce space? What was the motivation to start Alibris?
I had a friend over for dinner one night and who had written a book, and I asked her if I could, where I could find a copy, hoping she'd give me one. She directed me to a place on the internet where I soon discovered the potential of these books, which cover the full range of human experience. And together with the people who founded an earlier version of Alibris, modernized the company, moved it to California, raised capital, have built a 60-person company today in the Bay Area.
Now, but your background, again, is pretty different. I mean, you've been in the healthcare field, you've been involved with the Clinton administration, labor relations, and those types of things. So how would you compare those experiences to working in internet time?
It's a good question. It turns out that book dealers don't become book dealers because they want to make money. They become book dealers because for them it's a cause. For them, it's books are something they believe in. We sometimes say they're in love with their inventory as business people. I'm somebody that's been associated with causes most of his life, whether the cause was organized labor, whether the cause was the Clinton administration, whether the cause was restructuring a giant healthcare organization. I'm actually somebody who balances causes and business requirements pretty well.
And now back to the Alibris bookstore. Now that you've got this online store, essentially, how many books are we talking about? I mean, are we talking about
5 million. A very, very big bookstore. Much bigger selection than you're likely to find anywhere else. And many of those books we hold for our dealers in a warehouse and can ship immediately. Others are held in the bookstores around the world, and we'll get them to you pretty quickly.
So now when I think about used books, rare books, out of print, banned books for example, I know your site has some interesting categories with banned books and that type of thing. A lot of times collectors are particularly interested in how the binding is presented, if it's in good condition, if there's any yellowing on the pages. What are you doing to sort of guarantee the quality of that product if you've got a whole bunch of book dealers across the globe that are supplying those books to you?
The first thing we do is if for any reason you're ever unhappy with the book, you can send it back. We give people a flat-out guarantee that you'll like the book. But the second thing we do is we provide a description depending on how valuable the book is. We have books that sell for $10, for $100, for $10,000, and for $100,000, all on the site. And you can believe that the $100,000 book gets a much more exhaustive description
Investigation, I
than the
would
$10
guess.
book. And because one you're buying to collect, one you're buying to read. And in either case, we guarantee what you're getting is what you want. But as we sell to collectors, as we sell to specialists, the descriptions become much more elaborate.
So you actually have the book. You're not just sort of the connection between the dealer and the consumer. You actually have the book.
We have some of them, and some of them we don't have. Sometimes dealers choose to send us their books to our facility where we are able to catalog them, store them in a highly secure environment. In an environment where there are no customers pulling them off shelves or mishandling them.
Right.
Other times dealers keep the books in their stores, which we're happy to have them do, and simply tell us that they have the book, and when we sell it, we tell them that we've bought it.
I expect that especially the $10,000 book is probably something they want to keep a handle on.
Yeah, it actually makes the stores better.
Right.
I mean, in some ways, the best thing that can happen here is that the highly technical material, the 1965 Mustang repair manual, wants to come to our warehouse because the dealer, the buyer for that won't walk in the front door of your store if you're
Right.
a dealer. But the person who wants it pretty badly. They've got a car out back on blocks that needs fixing. But the nice museum piece wants to be in the store where people can see it.
Well, this e-commerce and online shopping stuff is great until the kid sits down at the computer, gets to a good site online and says, "Mom, can I borrow your credit card?" Well, there actually is a solution to that problem. It's called Rocket Cash, and Carol Cruz here is one of the co-founders of Rocket Cash. RocketCash.com, I guess, is the website.
Right.
What's the basic idea, Carol?
Rocket Cash is a free web service that enables teenagers to shop on the internet, as you said, without needing their parents' credit card.
All right, how do they do that? You go and set up an account and give you money in some way, which you'll set up an account for them?
Right. Either the teenager or their parent can come to Rocket Cash, set up an account, put money in the account with a check, a money order, or their parent can set up an auto allowance with a credit card. And then once they have their account set up, they can click on any one of the many merchants that we have and go shopping and actually make a purchase.
Now, I guess you have a kind of balance here. The kids want their freedom. The parents kind of want to know what the kids are doing. How do you solve that delicate balance?
We solve that balance by giving a lot of options.
Okay.
The merchants we've signed up are based on where the teenagers want to shop, and we get a lot of recommendations of where they want to buy.
All right, so you have to have a
things.
deal with the merchants. They have to be part of the Rocket Cash
Right.
sort of portal here.
Yes.
And what kind of merchants do you have?
People like Amazon.com, CD Now, Delia's, Alloy,
All right, so the main guys are there.
all the main guys, and then some smaller, lesser-known merchants that have a really neat selection of merchandise because we focus on providing the widest selection of merchandise.
All right,
on
so how does this work now? I'm a 12-year-old, and I have an allowance,
Yeah.
and I say, I want to be able to buy stuff online without going to Dad and saying, give me your credit card. What do? I go to Rocket Cash, and what, I send you a check, and I have my account now?
Exactly. If you have your own money and you can go to the mall and shop on your own, you would come to Rocket Cash, sign up. It takes about 2 minutes. You could send us a check or a money order, and once your funds are collected, you're ready to go. You'll have an
Okay.
account balance that you can review, and then you can shop at the merchant sites.
Now, a kid could do that without telling his parents?
A kid could do that if they have their own money and would like to sign up. We have for younger children, we allow the parents to sign up their younger teenagers. And then they might set up an auto allowance, which would be a weekly or monthly amount where their child can kind of learn to save and spend and some budgeting, and then they can shop based on an account that the parent has set up.
Now, what's the typical budget that kids have allocated for themselves or by their parents to use on Rocket Cash?
Well, on average, kids have $84 a week. that they can
$84 a
spend.
week?
Yes, half of which is money they've earned themselves.
Okay, so
So
they're
they actually-
babysitting or whatever, and they're making some money.
Right.
But they actually
as-
would be spending up to $84 a week just on fun stuff.
That's true. They don't have car payments. They don't have house payments.
Okay.
They buy a lot
Sounds
of
good.
books and music. Exactly.
Okay, and that's the teenager. What about younger kids? Say an account that a parent sets up for a child.
Right.
Would that be the same amount? I mean, that's a lot of money.
No,
It's a couple
I'd
hundred
say
a month.
when parents set up an account for their teenagers, it tends to be about $50 a month, and then the
Okay, a
parent
lot
can
less.
come in, set some permissions for the time of day when their child can shop, maybe select some merchants where they can shop, maybe some where they don't want them to shop.
All right, so if I'm the parent, I can say you can shop on these sites, but not those sites.
Correct.
All right, so I take it I don't have to worry about my kid logging on to porno.com and putting $30 of the credit card onto a monthly account with them.
Not at all. In fact, we have agreements with 68 merchants. We select very top tier, very acceptable merchants.
Okay.
Mostly books and clothing and music and gaming and accessories.
All right, so what do kids most buy with Rocket Cash money?
Music is number one for
Big
boys
surprise,
and girls. And then with girls, clothing is very popular. There's a lot of online stores that we can only shop online. They don't have a brick and
Yeah.
mortar. And boys, gaming, Pokemon trading cards.
In
Those
this
are the big
balance
ones.
between what the parents want and what the kids want, you talked about giving the kids freedom. Do the parents, in fact, have the ability to go in and kind of track where the kid's been and where he or she has spent the money?
Yes, they do. We let the parents come and look at an account summary page,
Uh-huh.
and they can see what they bought, where they bought it, how much they spent.
Kids don't resist that?
No, I think the children understand, especially if their parents are giving them money, that their parents have a right to know what they're buying.
Yeah. And I take it you have some deal with the merchants and you're getting a piece of the action because you're sending the business their way?
We participate in a standard affiliate program whereby they would pay us a portion of
Okay.
the purchase.
And
yes.
again, from the user's point of view, from the kids or the parents, this is just a free service
Absolutely free.
at rocketcash.com.
That's right.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
One of the fun aspects of shopping at the real mall is you can occasionally find some pretty good bargains, often in the form of manufacturer rebates. Well, up until now, rebates have not been part of the online shopping experience, but that is changing. Jane has found a site called Ebates, and she's talking with the two guys who put it together.
We're talking about ebates.com, not to be confused with ebay.com.
Correct.
Paul, tell me a little bit about what Ebates is all about.
Well, what Ebates is a shopping portal site that gives users a selection of the best merchants on the internet, but pays them to shop at those merchants.
So it pays the consumer.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Well, for instance, let's say you like to buy DVDs and you use Real.com, which is one of our most popular merchants.
All right.
And if you come to us first and do a 1 or 2 extra clicks to go to Real.com, you will log into our site, you'll click on that particular icon, you're then teleported or transported to that particular merchant, and you would shop as you normally would. But for every purchase you make, we will give you a 10% rebate. It happens to be the Real.com rebate.
So how do I get paid?
We actually send out checks every 3 months on the quarter. Next check's going
So
out
I'm almost
Halloween.
like an employee of yours then.
Well, what we are kind of is a virtual sales force in some ways for the merchants, and we enable users to see the products that are out there, and then we take the commission which we would normally get, and we pass that on to the end user.
So that leads me to the next question is how do you make money if you're passing on all these discounts?
What we do is through online advertising and direct marketing and paid sponsorships, things of that nature.
Sort of the typical internet model. As
Exactly.
opposed to an e-commerce site. You're really a portal, really.
Correct, absolutely. That's exactly what we are.
All right. And now the interesting thing is that both of you come from a very different background. You're not, net guys. You're not geeks.
Well,
Well,
that's two different questions.
Maybe you are. So first of all, what were you doing before you took on the job of starting a new internet company? And
Paul and I's previous job, we were deputy district attorneys at San Mateo County. So we were prosecutors. We were
Big
basically
difference.
putting people in jail, which is just a little different than online shopping.
that's somewhat cathartic.
I suppose so.
so how on earth did you get from that experience, which is pretty intense, I would expect,
Yes.
to getting to the point where you wanted to start a new company, an internet startup in the Bay Area? How did that all happen?
We got the sense that we were sort of in the middle of a paradigm shift in the economy. There was an awful lot going on that was exciting that wasn't going on in criminal law. And we sort of felt like we were on the sidelines. We both had career jobs in the computer field before going off to law school.
So you did have a background.
Oh yeah, we
of
both
some
had
sort. Okay.
technology backgrounds. In fact, Paul founded the high technology prosecution unit in San Mateo County. And so we were both very actively involved, even as prosecutors, with the internet community. And the
So it is
goings-on.
almost a slightly natural extension.
Yeah, it gave us a lot of insight into it. I mean, we obviously, as Sandra said prior to this, we both ran companies that were technology related, and then working in technology prosecution, had a lot of interface with people in the industry, both on the executive level and then on the user level as well.
So why a rebate program? Why this sort of Ebates concept? Why being a portal site for commerce for consumers? Why?
Well, probably one of the most important things that we wanted to do at the outset was to make a really very simple to use starting point for people shopping online. And the real reason for that was our mothers, honestly, was that we had started helping our moms out both shopping online and using their computers, and we could never send them to some place that would be a starting point.
It wasn't easy.
It was not easy at all, as I think you probably know. And so that was really the core value proposition that we wanted to do. And then we looked at our own behavior, the way we bought offline, and we were still filling out $2 Duracell rebate coupons, and realized, gosh, you know, why don't we look at that type of model, bring it to the online world, and that's what we were able to do. So now you can go shopping at places which you would normally go online, or places you might not have heard of,
Right.
But we're giving you literally free cash at those particular locations.
So, Alessandra, question for you. When you get to the ebates.com site, how are you structuring? How are you organizing it? And who are some of the companies or the affiliates that you have working with you?
Right, we're really organized for the first-time shopper, and we make it as simple an experience as possible. Essentially, you come to www.ebates.com, which is like rebates minus the R, ebates.com, and you're immediately going to see, it's a very fast-loading page, you're going to see a group of about 10 to 12 different categories. Pets, home and garden, video, DVD, music, clothing, toys, children, just the same sort of broad
the standard
categories.
things that you'd think about.
Sure.
Okay.
Right. And there'll be a featured merchant under each of those, the most popular merchants.
So name
typically.
some of them. Some of the people you have a
For
contract
instance,
with.
Baby Center, Real.com,
Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
Outpost, Beyond.com, Dell
Okay.
Computer.
So these are a lot of sort of internet-oriented e-commerce sites to start
Yes.
with.
And
Yes.
also a lot of the brick and mortars that are coming online now. For
We
instance,
got
Office Max, things of that
Tower
nature.
Records coming online soon.
Okay.
And so essentially what you can do is if you want to shop in a particular category rather than at a particular merchant, you can click on, say, the music category, and you'll get a real quick list of about 6 to 8 music merchants that we've selected to be put on the site. Right next to the, so you basically get the logo, the brief description of the merchant, and an actual percentage discount that
Okay.
you're going to be getting.
So
You
you've got a pretty extensive list so far of companies that you've got partnerships with. The one thing about Ebates that I found was it was very cleanly organized, really easy to navigate. If you've not been on the sort of the online shopping place, it's a great site to go to.
Yeah, we were fanatical about that, absolutely.
Well, the nice sort of opposite side of the coin is that even if you are a really dyed-in-the-wool, hardcore, experienced online shopper, that you're still going to get a better price from us going to Real.com than you will going direct.
That's our look at what's new in online shopping. Hope you found some interesting ideas to make your e-commerce experience better. Thanks to the folks at Club I in San Francisco for letting us hang out here as usual, and I hope we'll see you here again next week at the Net Cafe. Net Cafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, lawyering with integrity for internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.